Good morning, YouTube friends. Oh, Lord. It is a beautiful Friday morning. It rained really heavy last night, so I figured I'd come out here before work and give you all a little garden tour. These are some muscadines right here, or scuppernongs. I can't ever remember which one's which. Hopefully the person doing target practice back there doesn't keep on too much longer, because it sounded like he was shooting a rifle a minute ago. Deer season's coming up, but it's very frequent shooting. I don't think they're target practicing, actually. Yeah, so everybody that is potentially new here, this is my house, obviously. I live on 10 acres, but my family owns almost 300 acres around me. My mom has some land back this way towards the east, and my dad has the land pretty much all around me in every other direction. The house is a passive solar house, so that direction is south. So yeah, that's your orientation. Right here around my house, this south end is, I guess, what you would call your zone 1. I do have a full-time job, so I don't work out here all the time, of course. I actually work at Roots and Refuge. If y'all follow them on YouTube. I'm sorry, that gunshot's very distracting. Anyways, zone 1 here. This is a giant trellis that I built back in the spring. Oh man, you know what? I gotta go get some microphones, and I'll see y'all back here in just a second, because I do want to be able to talk to y'all and y'all understand me clearly the entire time that I walk and talk. All right, now we should be back. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of time to adjust your volume, and I'll turn around the camera. Excuse me. What's up with my throat this morning? A couple other facts about this property. USDA Zone 7B 8A is about where we are. The Coppin climate is a humid subtropical, so CFA. I like using Coppin climate a lot more than USDA, especially when it comes to perennials. But now I'm entering my mostly annual garden, but it got tore up by deer this year. It is fenced in, but it wasn't. The deer actually broke down or busted through the fence over there on that end. So they did end up getting in here for about 2 nights. They ate all my comfrey down, all my okra, but we're letting this all go to seed. I did end up getting a lot of okra, a lot of cowpeas, and a lot of butter beans, so we're good. We did okay. They didn't touch the asparagus. This right here, I should not have planted. This is Mandarin lemon balm. I don't know why I put it in here. The deer don't even like it, and it goes crazy in here, so I need to try to move that or something eventually. Smells good though. Bunch of, what are these? Livingston butter beans right here. I need to come pick these today once they dry out. These are pretty much the only things the deer did not end up getting. Yeah, I got a lot of those. Some beautiful amaranth right here. Man, I love these plants. They look so cool. That's the wire right here that my deer knocked down. Or not my deer. It's going to be my deer in about a month, because I'm going to eat it. This back fence right here, I did the 3-dimensional. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about how you can put a fence like this and then put one about a foot away. I did it like 3 feet away right here. But I'm actually going to run a perimeter fence all the way around. It messes with the deer's depth perception. So I think that's the easiest way, other than building a 10-foot high fence. I don't know how to do. Look at that big old plane right there, y'all. You can see it. It's a beautiful morning out here. But yeah, not a lot to see in this garden. I am going to take this big load of mulch that I have over here, and I'm going to get back to pulling weeds, and I'm going to put more mulch in here. And this garden eventually is just going to go to straight deer sensitive perennials like this asparagus. I'm more of a perennials man myself. I do some annuals, but annuals take a lot of work. And I work at a place where we grow a lot of annuals and they can't eat everything. So I get a lot of zucchini and tomatoes and whatnot, cucumbers. Come on, P. All right, so that is my annual garden this year. I'll start it over here by this trellis. I recently have been cutting wood. If y'all are watching this, I do a little series called Life of a Permie where I don't talk very much. And I've showed a lot of this stuff on there. So some of y'all might have seen this already, but it might be better for you if I actively walk and talk with you. I had some cucumbers right here. This is Malabar spinach going to seed. They get these little purple berries on them. Very strong purple color. One big ground cherry right here. It had really delicious fruit on it. This greenhouse is not in use. The plastic is starting to break down. It's like 5 or 6 years old, I believe. So I took the sides off of it, and that's where I keep my garden tools. So, all right, we're back to mega trellis, which I said that I built in spring this year. Next year, I'm gonna put a lot more climbing things on it. I did get a couple gourds to climb up it well, but probably gonna do, like I said, just more things that climb a little better. That tomato needs to be picked. But other than that, it's held up really well. Got a bunch of big old tromboncino zucchini. This is probably my seed zucchini right here, or my seed squash. And a bunch of, these were silver slicer cucumbers. And I'm gonna save the seeds from these. They've already died back for the year, but I'm probably gonna get out here tomorrow and save those seeds. All right, so the south side, that's the most active part of the south end right there. And I've got some stuff around the edge of my house, but I don't want to plant too much edible stuff right here just because we built this house. We moved in December of 2021, or no, January of 2021. So I don't know what sort of weird chemicals might get in the ground. I'm pretty careful about that. So this is the west end of the home. Our driveway loops around, and our driveway goes out like that. So we have this big circular area right in here. And this stuff right here, this is mostly what most people would consider weeds. Dog fennel, viburnums, verbenas, some passion fruits coming up through here, so I will have that to eat. But these areas I am letting lie fallow for the moment. They're really good for pollinators. In about an hour, they're going to be out here going crazy over this stuff. And plus, I honestly really like the way dog fennel looks. It's great for if you don't have any bug spray. Makes good mosquito repellent. But it looks like a seaweed to me. I feel like I'm in the ocean when I'm out here. What are you doing out here, kitty? You going on a garden tour with us? We're going to walk down to the old forest garden today. Yeah, Mama kicked you out. You were acting too crazy, weren't you? But yeah, dog fennel, ragweed, passion fruit, and some odd-looking caterpillars, things like spiky, in here. But eventually, I am going to convert all this to like blueberries and perennials that deer won't eat. So, yeah, next year, so these were rows of mulch that I laid out on contour. It's sloping down that way, and these are just spaced out enough to where I could get the lawnmower through them. And that way I can maintain them on either side. So when I do need to finally plant them, it's not going to be hard to get in there or anything. There's a lot of distracting things going on right now. So yeah, this would be the first, I guess you would call this the first year of succession, which you get, around here you get things like dog fennel, ragweed, things that I was just mentioning. Next year I'm going to start getting sweet gums, hickories, and probably persimmons growing out of here. So I might have to start managing trees if I don't get to planting blueberries soon enough. But I need to figure out a way to cheaply get blueberries. All right, so we're at the top part of the loop right here. And this is our herb garden, things that deer don't mess with. Just your basic herbs. It's a English thyme. One of these is English thyme. I can't remember which one's which. One of them's English and one of them's Italian, I believe. Thyme, sage. There's lime thyme and lemon thyme. There's some rhubarb in here. That's rhubarb right there. Different sorts of basils. A lot of this is going to seed at this point. Some volunteer zinnias come up in here every year. Some peppers that I didn't really get around to even using too much. I did dehydrate some, and I've made a lot of cowboy candy out of that. And some of Jess's peppers. The kitty loves wandering around in here. But yeah, just a small little herb garden. I mulch it every year. Trying to also bring perennials in right here. This is an Illinois everbearing mulberry. This thing's only like 3 years old. And that right there, I believe, is a prickly pear cactus. We eat the pads off this. It's really good. The fruit hasn't been that good. But I am excited to try that again this year. I don't know what those people are doing at 6:45 in the morning. Yeah, 7:20. Having a fun Friday, I guess. I think these are the ones that are technically scuppernongs. I think the purple ones are muscadines. Oh, they're so good, but they're a terrible fruit to eat on camera. If y'all are from the South, you know how muscadines and scuppernongs are. You spit most of it out. This right here is my Dutch Fort pumpkin. Dutch Fort pumpkin patch. The deer actually came in here. I've never had deer eat squash leaves, but they did that this year. So they did really good. I'm actually going to pick that one today. I covered them up with sheets because the deer were eating them, and I didn't want the sun to bake them. But it's actually having another bloom. If y'all see the blooms on them, it might be a better idea to take those and fry them up and eat the blooms, because I'm definitely not going to be able to get a whole pumpkin out of them. So yeah, that patch is doing pretty good. That was just a big pile of mulch that I dumped out like 3 years ago, and I raked it flat and covered it with a tarp for probably 6 months. And then I made a big hole, filled it with compost, planted the squash seeds in there, and I got a whole fireplace full of squash, and it's overflowing as well. This is a little trellis. This whole area right here is our septic drain field. Our septic tank is underneath this trellis right here. And I planted a couple ornamental roses, climbing roses there, and some yarrow. So nothing edible down there. As I said, it rained yesterday, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So I'll probably go down to the mushroom yard and see if there's any mushies down there, but I'm not going to walk down there right now. We are going to head to a little 1 acre food forest that I did a video back in December. I think I finished it in December. I planted it out with some chestnuts and some trees that got tore up at Jess's. They didn't do very good. But I just made this little raised bed the other day. This little area has some bee balm. This is a big asparagus growing. Lots of little strawberries in here. And then I'm going to fill this up with some stuff. As I said, I just planted that the other day. There's a fig right here. Not sure what these little blue plants are. Pretty though. I got irises up in here. I have an older food forest we're also going to walk to that I started working on in 2018. I was living at my mom's house, and I came down here and I would work on that. I probably have like 500 hours down there in that spot. But that old food forest was an old loading dock, and this entire area that you see, especially along the edges that I haven't been maintained, and where my house was, this was all pine trees up until July of 2020, or June 2020 is when they cut the pine trees. So that's a big reason that I never actually, nothing's older than 2020 in this area right here. I'll let y'all know when I get into the area that has a little bit older trees. All right, so house is right here. Moving down to this western field. We have some honeybees that a friend of mine keeps here. And just getting started this morning. I think they absconded from that hive right there. Not sure. When we were clearing my house, I took a bunch of pine trees that I actually cut by hand, and I moved them and put them in this little on contour hugel, halfway hugel mound. Has nothing but blackberries in it right now. It's a little lizard right there. Almost didn't see you. Not sure what I'm gonna do with that. We got a lot more beehives. Hopefully I'll get a jar or two of honey out of that. And this is the little area that I said we planted back in December. I actually didn't plant a ton in here. Just, I think 4 chestnuts. But we have a lot of volunteer American persimmons in here, which I'm going to let live. I love American persimmons. This right here, I actually did plant. This is a honey locust, which I believe have edible pods. I think they were used as sugar back in the Native American days. These little cages are where the chestnuts are. And they're very small, but they're still alive in there. I've been watering them. Same thing that I did up there in the yard. I put mulch down, and I'm maintaining around them with the lawnmower. That way I can get around each side of it. And basically what I do, since I have a lot of land, I let the weeds grow, and the only thing that I really cut back are volunteer trees that I don't want. As I said, sweet gum, pines, winged elms, and eventually that chestnut will grow up over this. It's just management. I mean, I'm not gonna have to manage it this year. Next year, the trees come up, and I'll probably have to spend one day out here cutting trees. It's really good to have some extension pruners for that. But yeah, same thing pretty much everywhere in here. I do have some prickly pear cactuses hiding in here. I have a friend that grows these. Shout out to Leo. He gives me pads all the time, and now I have too many pads. Yeah, chestnuts are still looking good down in here. That's pretty much everything that I planted that I think lived. I think the other stuff kind of clocked out. Oh, another honey locust that I planted right here. Be careful with these things. They got some huge briars on them. Yeah. So that's that little spot. This year is going to be a great year for American persimmons. Look at all of them on this tree. This tree has never had any fruit before, and this year it's just going crazy. This tree has some persimmons on it, small ones. Fruit nonetheless. Here is my garlic patch. This has been covered up for about a month now. I probably will plant these late November. I'll move these off. I might have to weed eat one time in between. But yeah, a lot of mulch put down and covered over the tarp. It's been mulched twice now. So it is really good soil in there. What do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 garlic mounds. This will be my 3rd year growing garlic. I got German white garlic from Big Elk Garlic Farms. And I've just been saving the seed every year from that. So they've been doing better and better. This row of trees my dad planted, I think like 8 years ago. This was actually a field right here. A small field for deer hunting. So he planted a bunch of sawtooth oaks. That's what all these are. They're going crazy with those guns, aren't they? Life in the South. And intermittently, he left a couple American persimmons. Another tree here that has never had fruit on it, and this year has fruit. And this tree, that's another sawtooth oak, which are useful. I want to try making some bread and stuff out of acorns eventually. I have some swamp chestnut oaks that Dr. Kibler gave me that are supposed to have a small amount of tannin in them. And hopefully I'll be able to make some bread or something out of it, but they're very small right now. I don't think that's the case with sawtooth oaks, but deer love them, so they'll bring them to me. This is the persimmon that is weighing down. These branches might break. I've never seen a tree or this tree loaded down this much. These are the biggest American persimmon fruits that I've seen on our property so far. See how the branches are, the tree's almost leaning. It's so heavy. And I don't really know what to do about that. It's a big tree. I mean, that's 20 feet tall at least. Excuse me. I walked right past this another little mulch circle plant guild that I planted right here. This right here, these are the swamp chestnut oaks. Kind of struggling, but this is a chestnut right here doing really good. The deer almost crashed through my cage a year ago, but that's doing good. Those swamp chestnut oaks will not be there for an extended period of time. That was just an area to put them temporarily. That beautiful sunrise, y'all. Right here, these are little areas that I am also going to plant out eventually. I plant things here and there. I just keep them maintained for when I have enough money to buy things. I'll get them and add them in here. Like there's a little fig right here around all these lamb's quarters. Another little plant guild right here. This is a pineapple quince. The heat really, it did not like the heat too much, but it did survive. And we got the rain, so we're good to go. This is a big old Nanking cherry. This is lamb's quarters around it right here. And we eat this. I love lamb's quarters to eat. But this is a Nanking cherry right here. I've never actually had a cherry off any of these, but hopefully next year we'll get some. Need to do a little bit of chopping and dropping around that. This little swale thing pretty much only has this rosemary plant on it at the moment. So that is pretty much it for that zone 1. I guess I would count this little field right here as like a zone 2 or 3 or so. Let's walk down to the old forest garden. This is what the land used to look like before 2020. It was these big pine trees And I told the woodcutters to actually leave this little area right here just so I could do some experimenting with it. It's the only other place we still have those pines are down here, and those are bottoms, springs, and creeks down there. There's actually a big swamp down there. And Native Americans used to live about 300 yards that way. So, one thing, if you'll have a lot of land, utilize these paths that are already being maintained. Utilize their edges and plant things here and there. Like, I don't have to worry about clearing anything for the trees to grow out right here because it's already being maintained. Like, that's a mulberry right there. Now, I don't clear on the back side of it, but this area stays cleared for it. Utilize your edges. It's a big thing in permaculture. This is a small irrigation pond I dug a few years ago. Doesn't have too much water in it. I did drain it out mostly. Keep walking down here. I don't have too much planted in the pines at the moment, but as I said, I have stuff planted along the edges. Like, there's some pears that I've planted in there with those blackberries. Blackberries are wild. This is an Asian pear right here, finally starting to grow a little bit. I actually hope some blackberries start growing around that, because bucks, which are male deers, they come in here and they rub their antlers on the trees. Yes, I've heard of bone saws and throwing eggs on your tree, but that's my problem right there with that. They come in here and they dig around it, or you can't throw that type of stuff when you have dogs. In my experience, you can't. This is a flying dragon, aka a wild lemon. A lot of lemons you get this is the rootstock that grows on it. They have small lemons and they're not very good. And they honestly make my stomach hurt a little bit. But I do want to, one, try to grow some for deer protection. They smell really good, and I would like to make like a big circle with a picnic table in the middle of it. And it'd be really cool to have those around you. 3, we're going to try to make some cleaners out of it. So we had 2 or 3 weeks where it was very hot, like 105 degrees for 2 weeks straight with no rain. And the only thing I think that the heat really got that I forgot to water are these hazelnuts right here. But I mean, that's a leaf right there, so they are still alive. Yeah, they're still alive, but the heat really got to the hazelnuts. All right, so we're entering the old forest garden. As I said, this used to be a loading dock. When it was a loading dock for the trees, they actually scraped all the topsoil off of this. So it was bare subsoil that I started working on. I moved a lot of mulch in here, and I tiered. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 swale systems in here. It's completely impossible for y'all to actually see that, but that does exist. It runs down from that irrigation pond, and it runs in here, and it'll run along these swales. This is one right here. Again, y'all can't really tell that that's what it is, but this food forest was mostly for me learning. I had never really grown anything before this, and it taught me a lot. It taught me how quickly other things grow, how to work with other things, and things that I can plant that can actually compete a little bit with it. I made a lot of mistakes in here, but it's for the better. I learned a lot. This is a silverberry, one thing that can compete okay with this stuff. It's in the Elaeagnus family, which a lot of people freak out about because it can be invasive. It's not here though. The soil is not ideal for those. They don't go crazy here. They grow well, but they don't become like super invasive. There is places around me where they'll do really good, but the soil changes really fast in this area of South Carolina, and I'm comfortable with planting them. This is a peach tree. It can compete okay. Nothing can compete like 100%, you always need to come in here and manage access. I run through here with a lawnmower, and that allows other things to grow a little bit better. These are black locusts. Now these can compete. They go crazy. The original black locust is that one, and it takes over by their roots, I believe, and they're everywhere in here, which I'm cool with. This garden is basically like a zone 4 at this point. So yeah, I got paths going all up through here. As I said, one thing I did learn is design for access really well. As y'all see with those other little pods that I planted, I make sure that I mow around them on each side of them so I can access them pretty well and do chop and drop year after year. This is a pear tree that got really taken back by the cold. And it just kind of goes downhill. Not in like a negative way, it goes downhill. It literally goes downhill to this little pond that I built back here. I spent a lot of hours in here originally, but these days I don't come down here too often. I built that in 2019, I believe. For instance, this was a Nanking cherry, but it just gets too much competition down here. Needs a little more love. So a lot of this stuff I've been moving back up to the house and letting this area, whatever did live, let it live, and you know, just kind of harvesting the blackberries and whatever else we can get from down here. It's a little fig tree. That's an Italian honey fig. This is a wormwood going to seed. Need to take the seed and plant some more. That did pretty good down here. And I'm gonna walk down to the pond down here, and then I'm probably gonna end the video. This is a little lavender, some mullein, which is a good medicinal plant to have. Mountain mint. This stuff actually competes really well. It's a beautiful smelling mint. I love it. Need to plant a lot more of that at the house. It's going to seed as well. And then there's a volunteer lemon back here popping up. Got a lot of these old trellises that I built back in the day. There's a muscadine growing up it and some honey locust, so it is pretty. Big old silverberry right here. This thing's going crazy. Those always fruit right around my birthday, like mid-May or so. And here's a little pond. Just kind of a wildlife pond that I built. It's actually almost looks like it's completely dry, pretty much. And this is a little hangout area. I got to come in here, and I'll probably actually cut grass this Sunday in here. Pretty mullein plant popping up right there. But yeah, black willow popping up right here. We're getting a lot of staghorn sumac that is fruiting at the moment. So I might try to make some lemonade out of that. Let me know in the comments if y'all have ever used staghorn sumac for lemonade. We have a lot of it. None of it's fruiting down here, but there's some at the house that I didn't show y'all. That's a big red mulberry. I don't really like the berries on it. They're more for the birds. And we're kind of stopped right here. The blackberries are overgrowing the paths. I got to come down here and cut these. That way I can run through here with my lawnmower again. Again, I'll probably do that Sunday. A couple beauty berries right here. These are edible. I need to try some of these on vanilla ice cream. They all just rolled off my hand. Just one. They're decent little fruit. The leaves of American beautyberry are also good for mosquito repellent. But yeah, that's a big part of it. As I said, I got 10 acres, but I really only have just a few acres in production. This is some sort of stone fruit. Not stone fruit, stone plant. I can't remember what that's called. But yeah, I probably have like 2 acres that I manage at the moment. The rest of it, I'm just letting it grow up for the time. In a few years, hopefully I'll be able to move in there and just do probably an acre at a time. Come in with a wood chipper, chip a lot of stuff down, and I'm gonna start doing fish scale swales from here on out. I really want to have an orchard, and the fish scale swales, I'll put a link on one of the corners and show y'all where I did that at the place that I work. That way, if y'all are interested in seeing what that is, because that's what I'm gonna do from here on out. I'm not gonna do full-blown swales. They just get too many weeds growing up around them. And when you're on this amount of land, the fish scale swales are good, especially if you have a bush hog or a big lawnmower or something. So yeah. And this is the area that I said I'm gonna end up moving in and doing that too. I'm probably gonna start right around my house, do a little section, keep it alive for a year, and then do another section. Not gonna do it all at once. But it is growing up real fast. But there is stuff we can harvest in here in the meantime. Probably turn some of these trees into mushroom logs and whatnot. That almost looked like an arrowhead. Don't think it is though. Those are green ash trees right there. It's good. They make good wood for like handles and stuff. Sometimes I'll cut those and fix my rakes with them. That's another one right there. Green ash tree. They like the type of soil that I have here. And there we are, back to the house, back to zone 1, where this will keep me busy for the time being, but I have to go to work. Thank y'all for joining me. This might be the last garden tour that looks green like this. I probably won't even do one in the winter. I don't know. But yeah, look at that. That's beautiful, y'all. Keep planting out there, one day at a time. Hopefully I don't get shot. Peace out, y'all. Take it easy.